Okay guys, foot on hip guard. This is definitely, after closed guard, and you can make that argument, foot on hip guard is the next most important thing to know. It's essentially your first line of defense. You have your feet on their hips, so they're as further away from you as possible. It's easy to keep them at that distance. It's challenging for them to get the feet off the hips, or at least it should be. If they do get your feet off their hips, then they should have to fight with your knees against them. If they get past your knees, then hopefully you have them in a closed guard. If they get past one leg, then they get a half guard. And if they get past that, then they're into working off your frames from bottom to side mount. So your feet on hip is your first line of defense. If it's self-defense, you get knocked down, your feet are up. If it's sport jiu-jitsu, some people like pulling guard, and that's fine. It's not maybe what I would recommend for a lot of people, but if you're gonna pull guard and attack immediately, that is fantastic. Or pull guard and sweep or back take right away, that is a fantastic idea. But it's just such a strong position. And for myself personally, I'm a long guy, and I'm not really sure when I figured it out, maybe it was around purple belt, the idea of what attributes, what I bring to the table that benefit me more than some other people. So my length has always been an issue. I'm a tall guy. So I've always found front hip guard a great place to stretch people out. And it didn't require a lot of strength for me, which I really, really like. So I was able to keep people away from me and use limited energy and really bend them over. So there's a couple nice setups I have in here. Definitely foot on hip guard. If it's something like you're interested in spider guard, X guard, De La Riva guard, you have to have a good foot on hip guard because it just teaches you good tension. It teaches you good posture and just a good place to go back to. You can go foot on hip guard to X guard and to De La Riva guard and spider guard very easily. So it's a nice hub to jump out to other places. If someone starts shutting down your De La Riva guard, it's easy to go back to foot on hip guard, reset and go back to De La Riva or go switch to another guard. So foot on hip guard is definitely an essential move. You guys have to know it. And you should want to know it. It's a very, very strong, it's very satisfying, and you're gonna find that a majority of the moves that are in this little session here you're gonna be able to do. So all you really need to do is hopefully find one or two moves from each section and then find ways of chaining them together. And some of them are put out in the video, like hey, if you're going for an arm bar, you know, they're gonna set themselves up for a balloon if they counter the arm bar kind of thing. So some of them will chain together naturally and that may get mentioned. And some you're gonna discover on your own. And definitely there's gonna be a lot of moves that are not in this. This is just like kind of an introduction to foot on hip guard, but with a lot of moves, a big introduction. So enjoy guys. Okay guys, so before we get into the foot on hip guard, to transition, sweep subs, all that jazz, we have to work on what is foot on hip guard and some postures from there. So when I have John inside my guard, it's really, really important that there's tension. I don't want to be just holding on to his gi and then my feet on his hip. There's zero tension here on John. It's too easy for him to slide these feet off his hips, and now there's very little guard for him to work with. And to be honest, if I have no pressure on his hips, John shouldn't really worry about my guard at all, because even if my feet do come off, they're not going to be very effective. I'll just be throwing my legs in the air. So right away, we want to get a good grip, whether it's rolling up or pistol, it's up to you, and a nice grip on the collar. Typically the deeper the better, but the collarbone is a nice place to grab. And when you're grabbing, firm grips and then push. And if it means you're sitting up, you're sitting up. But there's tension into John. So the difference between this and this is quite a bit. As soon as he moves, I have to do something. I have to try and get that pulling motion. This hand is pulling up best I can. And it's probably gonna top out right about here. That's the edge of my range of motion. So to help that out, I have to push with my legs, okay? If I push a little too hard, it'll fatigue my grips, because if I'm pushing at 100 pounds of force, that means my hands have 100 pounds of force in it. So we have to balance it a little bit. I have to push hard enough to slow him down and keep him in position, but not so much I burn myself out. So be careful. That, and also sometimes you push so hard that your arm starts to drag and this gets loose, and then John will just pull his hand back. And that, now he's getting pant grips, which is really a big problem. So we're gonna make sure we have good tension. Same thing goes if he's standing. Foot on hip guard's great if he's standing, because I can keep John bent over with that collar grip. So this is really important. This is what we're looking for, not this. As soon as I relax, his hips can come in. When his hips come in, his head comes up. That's a big problem. If I can get a good collar grip and a good sleeve grip and push, this should be uncomfortable for John. If he tries to bring his hips in, yeah, he's just shoving me across the mat. If he tries to bring his hips in again, yeah, I can keep it very strong here. Notice my hips are on the floor. I'm not doing this. This is a problem. If he brings his hips in now, I'm gonna get dumped backwards. So make sure you have a connection on the ground with your hips at all times. Once the hips come off the floor, they become his property. So watch out for that. Strong grips, strong feet, okay? Next is transitions.